Summary of Vayomer Hashem el Moshe on Daf Nun Zayin, Parashas Vayomer. So the pasuk which the Maimer starts with states that Hashem told Moshe and Aharon that Aharon should take his staff and throw it on the floor and it will turn to a snake. Then the magicians, Aharon did that, and the magicians of Pari saw this and they copied him. They threw their staff onto the floor and it also turned to a snake. Then to snakes. Then Aaron's staff turned back into a staff and swallowed all the other staffs. So we need to understand what's the meaning of this staff turning into a snake, back into a staff, and swallowing the other snakes. What the other staffs? What's this about? So to understand this, we first have to understand the idea of Mitzrayim spiritually and what was really happening here. So we know that there's before Hashem created the organized worlds, which is basically Seder Shalshalos, all the four worlds from Atzilus until Asiya, spiritual worlds, physical worlds, but they're all organized and they're all systematic. Each one has a little bit less godly energy manifest than the previous one, so that the creations of that world will be able to take it. So higher than that and before that is matecha, the world of chaos, and there the spiritual light was too powerful and therefore it shattered. And we've got sparks of this holiness, this godliness within our world, but it's just covered up and therefore it's difficult to notice. So but although they're covered up, but really they're godliness, they're just stuck and they need to be helped, they need to be liberated. So that's the fact that they're stuck. That is what klippa is. Klippa means a shell, a cover, a peel, something that doesn't let us see the fruit inside. So really, there's sparks of godliness all over from Olam Hatayil, but we don't see it because it's covered by klippa. Now, at the beginning of the Torah, Parashas Bereishis, it talks about Gan Eden. Actually, Eden and Gan are two different places. Eden, spiritual, the pasuk says that there was a river coming out of Eden in order to give water to the Gan, to the garden, meaning that the garden was being sustained from a river that came from Eden. So Eden spiritually is Chachma, and the reason is because Eden really represents the beyond, the unlimited, and Chachma is what receives from the unlimited, and the beyond. And that's why in the person, Chachma is what takes from the subconscious and just lets the subconscious express itself. So it's taking in from the beyond. Then the river continues to bring the light of Chachma, which is sourced in the light of Ein Sof, down through the highest world of Atzilus, all the way until the garden, which is Malchus. And then from Malchus is what gives space for other, and therefore from Malchus the river splits into four rivers, because in Bria, in the low worlds of Bia, that we have division, and therefore the river splits into four. And just like with the physical rivers, each one may have different qualities. One may be wider or narrower, longer or shorter, sweeter, clearer, or more bitter or murky. It's the same thing spiritually, that every river has a different type and different amount of spiritual energy. So the river of Egypt, which represents the spiritual source of Egypt, has the most sparks of godliness there. And therefore, the purpose of the makos in general, and in particular the first one of the snake, the before the makos introduction, is the staff turning into a snake and turning back into a staff, eating the other staffs. So what's the purpose of all of this? Like the pasuk says, "V'yadu Mitzrayim kani Hashem," that Egypt should know that I am Hashem. And that's the purpose of the makos, to see Hashem's power. But there's another meaning here. V'yadu also means that they should, to break them. There's a pasuk in Shoftim that talks about the Gideon punishing the people of the city who didn't help him in a battle, and he used this word v'yadu. So it means to break Mitzrayim. And when Mitzrayim is broken, when klippa is broken, then we find the godliness, the godly sparks within. And for the Jewish people, they didn't need miracles. They already believed in Hashem. But for Mitzrayim, they needed these the 10 plagues and all the miracles in order to break their ego and their feeling that I am the center and I control myself and without Hashem's help, and that had to be broken to find the sparks of godliness within. So therefore the start of this was the miracle with the staffs and the turning into a snake and then back. Why? Because mate represents the downward flow of spiritual energy, whereas a snake represents klippa. So when we see klippa, we see something covering godliness, declaring its own independent existence. So we have to call that out and say, you think that's a snake, really it is a holy staff. And that is the beginning of the makos, in order to show that really everything is Hashem. So this answers our questions, and the message is very powerful, that really everything is godliness. Sometimes it's concealed, but we can call it out and say, no, you think that this is a snake. Really, there's no genuine opposition, because all is Hashem. Summary, Vayomer Hashem el Moshe on Daf Nun Zayin of Torah Ohr. This is the second Vayomer on this Daf. So the Vayomer begins with the pasuk that Hashem says to Moshe, tell the Jewish people that that I will take you out of Egypt. And this is the first of the 4 expressions of Geula. And then after those 4, so there's vitzalti, v'ga'alti, and v'lakachti. And then afterwards there's a 5th expression as well. It says, I will take you to Eretz Yisrael. So to understand the meaning of this, first of all, this idea of getting out of Egypt is something which is a constant mitzvah to remember, and it's something constantly within the Jewish psyche. And we have to always remember Yetzias Mitzrayim and imagine that it happened to us. And this is because it's important. It's an important integral part of who we are as a yid, and the state of our neshama coming up to Hashem. To explain. So simcha is related to when we understand and reflect on ideas about Hashem and understanding of Hashem. And like it says, that when the mother of children is happy, the mother spiritually is bina, because the understanding of bina, the meditation and reflection of bina, gives birth to children, gives birth to a love of Hashem, and that creates joy. In other words, when we're able to rise above and connect to Hashem mentally and emotionally, that creates joy. But there's a much more powerful spiritual joy as well. This is because anything we understand is limited. Any revelation of godliness to us, normally it's limited. Hashem is involved in the world, and Hashem makes his presence to a degree manifest and noticeably involved, but only in a limited way. And this is through many tzimtzumim, which are contractions, and helama is concealment, through the sphere of malchus, which gives space to the other by having only a limited amount of light. So therefore, when we try to cleave to Hashem through our mind, through our understanding, then it's always going to be limited. Hashem's whole involvement in worlds is only a little ray of Hashem, which is nothing compared to Hashem. Hashem himself is way beyond. However, through Torah and mitzvahs, that's something that's genuinely important to Hashem, and therefore when we learn Torah and do mitzvahs, we're connecting to Hashem himself, not just a little ray, but something that really matters to Hashem himself. And therefore we should have much more joy. It should be so exciting to us to have an opportunity of learning Torah and doing mitzvahs. This is the only way to truly and deeply connect to Hashem. Okay, so this is the idea of simcha, and simcha is connected to birth, because when you have an idea but it's stuck in your mind, it hasn't led to a sort of revelation. So then that's like pregnancy. where the fetus is still inside. Whereas when it comes out, when it's revealed in the heart, so when the idea in the mind is revealed to the heart and creates a passion and emotion, so then that's like birth, and that brings to simcha, to joy. But between the mind and the heart, there's a blockage. The blockage is the neck, and this is similar to the difficulty with giving birth. The neck also blocks the mind from giving birth to an emotion, which are the children in the heart. And the neck is like Mitzrayim. Mitzrayim means constraints, and then the neck is like this narrow part of the body, and then all the pipes have to go through, the air pipe and the veins, the food pipe from the face, etc. And so this is where we have these. We have also the three ministers of Pari, the butcher, the baker, and the one who gives the drinks for Pari, the butler. And so this is when we use, on one hand, we're trying to meditate and reflect about Hashem, but also we have a lot of other things going on in our mind, everything we're busy with, and our business and our pleasures, and that all disturbs our mind. The ideas that we learn, this moment that we're learning, why doesn't it give birth to a feeling, to a passion, a love, an excitement? It's because of everything going on in the middle and the neck. So this is similar to pregnancy. By the way, notice that in the spheres, there's two bottlenecks. One is between intellect and emotions, das, right? It's a triangle. And then the other one is before action. There's nitzotzos, so you have both sides, it's wide, and then yirpared, it gets narrow again, yirpared and malchus. So anyways, this is a bottleneck, and therefore, now what we're asking for is birth, and which is connected to the ula, to redemption, and that's why the pasuk says, tell the Jewish people, Ani Havai, I am Hashem, this name, and then what will happen? I'll take you out of Egypt, I'll take you out of the constraints, and this will happen through Ani Havaya, through connecting to Hashem himself, to Torah, which is beyond the world, and in particular, Torah Shebechsav. It says that whenever we learn Torah, when we read Torah, Hashem is reading opposite us, and therefore this connection to Hashem lets us break through this constraint and really connect. But this is only sort of level one, the first redemption. But then there's a second redemption, which is Vehevesi. Hashem says, I'll take you to Eretz Yisrael. Eretz Yisrael, the land, Malchus represents Torah Sheba'al Peh. There's a big difference between Torah Shebechsav, the written Torah, and Torah Sheba'al Peh, the oral Torah. The written Torah has an exact amount of words and letters. The main thing is not understanding. It's those words. It's just about the words, holy words. Whereas Torah Sheba'al Peh, it keeps on growing. You start off with a pasuk, then a mishnah, then a gemara, then the mefarshim on the gemara, etc., etc. Torah keeps on growing, and so this is the idea of Torah Sheba'al Peh, and with Torah Sheba'al Peh, it is very important to understand. The words are less important, and this is the sort of second and deeper stage of redemption. True, when we learn Torah Shebechsav, the written Torah is called Mikra, which Mikra means, we normally translate it as like scriptures, but Mikra is also to call out, that we're calling out to Hashem and bringing down Hashem onto us. But we are still, there's us and there's Hashem, and we're bringing Hashem, we're calling Hashem and beckoning Hashem onto us. But with Torah Sheba'al Peh, we are one with Hashem. Hashem is talking through our mouth. We have an idea, and that idea is Torah. So with Torah Sheba'al Peh, there's a deeper union, a deeper cleaving and coming together with Hashem. And therefore, the pasuk continues that I'll bring you to the land, and it says Hashem asasis yadi, to which I carry my hands. An idea of a hand and carrying the hands. I raise my hands literally, we might translate this as Hashem raises his hand in promise, that he promises to give it to Aharon, Yitzchak, and Yaakov. But raising of the hand also represents this idea that Torah Sheba'al Peh, while it's only the hand, not the head, it's malchus, not chachma. It deals with agriculture and business and arguments, but you can raise the hand to be above the head. And similarly here, Torah Ohr reaches a level of oneness with Hashem beyond Torah Shebechsav. And then the pasuk continues to be an inheritance. I give it as an inheritance, Ani Hashem, that we have Hashem in us. But in order to reach this, we have to, it all depends on us and our feelings in our heart. We have to really want closeness to Hashem. We have to really want to be free spiritually, to have birth, redemption. And this is why we have to mention the Exodus, Yetzias Mitzrayim, every day and every morning, every night, because remembering the Exodus is about revealing our oneness with Hashem, how Hashem is one with Hashem, being out of all constraints and blockages that covers this truth. And that's why in Vayomer, which talks about Yetzias Mitzrayim, it also says to make Hashem our God, because that's what Yetzias Mitzrayim is about. And that allows us to have not just the redemption, but Vahevesi, to be taken to Eretz Yisrael, which is about the oneness with Hashem achieved through learning Torah Ohr.